Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning, depending on where you are in the country. This is Scott Fischetti from Geopath. I'm here with Brian Shopper from Geopath as well.
Hello.
How's everybody doing today? Just want to welcome you to our next edition of the Out-of-Home Office Hours. If you've responded to this, you've probably seen the invite. We're doing a series of Out-of-Home Office Hours, just introducing everybody to the Geopath Insights Suite. So basically, just to give you a quick run through of the agenda. First of all, thank you again for attending. But I want to just give you a high-level sense of what are some of the Insight Suite's key features that you'll see when we jump into the tool, actually do a demonstration of the Insight Suite beta tool, and then show you where you can go to get support or provide feedback on the tool as well, because that's one of the key things we've like as part of this beta process for the tool. Just before I jump into this next slide, though, I do want to say, if you do have questions as we go along, as always, please use the question widget to ask us questions. I'm happy to pause throughout and answer those as we can. But one thing, we are, if you were at the conference and had a chance to see Kim's speech, we're very, very excited about this tool rolling out. We've been working on it, obviously, for the better part of a year and a half, close to 2 years, to get this up and running for the industry. And it is something we feel is truly built for the industry, by the industry. And what I mean by that is that in the early stages, back in March, when we had something that was stood up and fairly functional, we were able to use our Geopath finders, who are key, members from across users from across our members' organizations that were served as that first look beta testers for us, and really gave us really key feedback on how to make this a tool that's really helpful and valuable for the entire industry. And that group is still there and helping us as we move along. But now we're expanding this to the entire membership, and I want everybody to see themselves as Geopath finders, so to speak. So as you are exploring the tool, as you see in the bottom bullet, please explore and provide feedback for us, because it really helps us make a better tool for the industry. And the reason why is that we're using an agile release schedule. So every 2 weeks, we're updating and improving functionality, increasing feature set, increasing functionality. So you'll see continuous changes and improvement as we go along with the tool. And just one caveat, as you are exploring this tool, there's obviously impression data in there. That data is for non-commercial use during this beta phase. So just want to make that point as well on all of these sessions. And if you've seen any of our earlier presentations talking about the development of the Insight Suite and previously more as we referred to it, you'll know that we have a really significant combination of data partners and data memberships that are really powering the tool and allowing us to get to this granular level of data that you'll see kind of demonstrated in the tool. And really just have this slide here to make that point, that it is really about the data partnerships, and it's a tool that's built that we can continually add new partnerships as the data becomes scalable for the different partners as well. So what you're going to see is one of the things, again, that's really key and we're excited about is this idea of, finally a unified audited database, leveraging kind of mobile data and connected car data and location-based data from apps. But as you get into the tool, you'll see the ability to zoom into cities or specific street or intersection, and then a lot of different filters for media type, operator, etc. as well. And one other key thing is in just how you interact with the tool and how you start to look for data. In the Explore section, which is what we're going to explore today, excuse me for the pun, is audience first. And this was great initial feedback from our members on we want to be able to look at audience first or market first versus having to start with a piece of inventory. So the tool is very flexible in that you can really choose your own adventure, so to speak, and how you want to look at the data and how you want to explore and ultimately build your campaigns. But in the Explore section, just exploring inventory. So again, mobile-based average annual weekly metrics across the U.S. are available, and you'll see a set of audience demographics and behavioral profiles. This will expand very quickly over the coming weeks. We have a handful of behavioral profiles in there, and we'll explore some of those today, but know that that is coming and that is going to be expanded on. It's a very visual tool with a lot of mapping capabilities, and you'll see every location map that you want to look at, and you can explore that data and sort that data and filter that data by impressions, by percent composition, by indexing based on the behavioral characteristics that you pick, as well as coming reach and frequency as well. And just this next slide here, it's a little snapshot, if you look at the left side of the screen, a little snapshot of the data card that will be available for each piece of inventory. So you'll start to see things like opportunity overview. So what are some attributes that that this piece of inventory, is great for? What does it over-index on? And then zip codes that audience are coming from. I think we have a question. Oh, yes. So question is, Brian, do you want to read that for us?
Yeah. It's basically asking, in the tool, will you be able to filter by out-of-home vendor and sort of sort that way? And that's absolutely something we'll be able to do, and that's something we're going to explore.
Yep.
Yeah, Scott goes through.
Yep, great answer. Yeah. So you'll see when we're in there, you'll be able to sort by those as well, and as well as different media types too, and the various combinations of those things. That's one of the things that I'll definitely do. Also want to let you know, as I said, the Explore portion of the tool is open and available for you to explore, but we are building other aspects. So the ability to build and customize and collaborate on campaigns, as well as project management. So manage packages and markets, as well as projects, and share those amongst your team as well for collaboration. And then the reporting aspects of the tool. So being able to visualize different audiences, different audience delivery, as well as analyzing and compare different attributes of inventory as well. So cool. So let's take a look. I know everybody's hopefully excited to take a look at the tool. So let me go here. So I've already logged in. So you will log in and you'll be met with a screen like this. And what this does is it just gives you a quick overview on some of the available information. It gives you a quick walkthrough on what you can explore and how to get feedback or provide feedback as well. It's a two-way interaction. You can give us feedback, and if you do have questions, you can get them answered as well. So that's what this talks about here as well. And then let's go. So here is the opening screen you'll see, and just a couple things. I'll do a high-level walkthrough before I start to dig in a little bit here. So you'll see, obviously, a map of the entire country with our, at a high level, audited inventory by location. So across the top here, you can see audience. As I said, it's the lead thing. If you want to select that first, you can. But there's total population 5+, adult population 18+, and then, as I mentioned, a handful of behavioral characteristics. So been to a Starbucks, report that they've been to a Starbucks in the past 30 days, and they run their reports having been to a sit-down restaurant in the past 30 days. So again, as I mentioned, this will continually expand into the thousands. Again, that's one of the key benefits and features of what we're building, and one of the things we're really excited about. So I'm excited to show you how that kind of plays out in terms of the tool. And then you can select market. At this point, it's at the DMA level. Again, know that that will be evolving and changing, but for now, it is you can select DMAs, and then look at media, the variety of media types. So for you can look at 467,100 250 panels. You can see how that breaks down in terms of bulletins, posters, street furniture, etc. here. And then for operators, again, you can see the how all the total level of inventory breaks down across operators. And you'll be able to filter all of these things, and we'll do that in a moment. And then there's a few mapping capabilities. So you can draw a map. The draw feature allows you to kind of highlight an area on the map and just zoom into that area and just look at the impressions and inventory for that selected area. And then you can also filter the selections as you're moving through and just have the map kind of move along with you and filter as you're doing that. So I'll show you that aspect as well. And then if you want to look at very specific pieces of inventory, you can use the Geopath panel IDs, or you can put in your plant unit IDs here. And the tool is able to ingest that in any way you want to throw it in. If you want to copy a column out of an Excel file and paste that in, it'll interpret that for you as well. If you want to copy them out of an email, put them in there, it works as well. So it's really hopefully creating a little more ease of use than some of the older tools that we have as well. All right, so just looking here on the right side here, 49 billion target impressions, 49 billion people 5+. Again, that's because we haven't selected an audience yet, and that's why target composition is obviously 100%. One fun thing I like to do here sometimes is, as you click on an audience, so let's pick Starbucks past 30 days, and you apply it at this high level, at this national level, you can start to see, like, across nationally, 6 billion target impressions and 13% target composition. That's one nice way to, as you start to look and explore DMAs, if you have the ability to choose and select, you can start to see, like, oh, does this DMA over-index or under-index to the national average, so to speak. So let me, for example, maybe throw in a DMA here. Let's go to San Francisco today. You'll see how this will change on the right. And again, I'm still looking at a very high level. Oh. So the target composition went to 19% here versus the national average of 15% here. So let's, since I'm here now, why don't we just dive in? So you can see that there's 9,846 pieces of inventory that we have here in our audited database. And as you zoom in, I'll start to zoom in here. Sorry, get a little off track here. My bad. Let me just reset. So I just clicked this button here, with the 4 arrows, and that brought me back to the higher level. And I'm going to zoom in again. Yeah. So start to zoom in. And as you start to get closer in, you can see that kind of like these, we've been calling them Skittles, show up here. And that's, what do these colors mean? So here's a key that starts to show you what the different pieces of inventory represent in the tool and what the color coding is. You can start to see here. You know what? I apologize. I want to click off this audience for a while. I want to look at it at a higher level right now. So you can see right now again. So it's got total population 5+, and it went back up to 932 million impressions here. So again, as just going back to the map here and showing, you're seeing all of the inventory, the audited inventory in the database by color, coding, and as I mentioned earlier, you can start to look at the inventory by total impressions, by target composition, as well as a variety of things, in-market total impressions, in-market percent in-market composition, etc. And reach and frequency are on their way. And then you can also filter by top 25, top 50, however you want to look at it. You can even create a custom set of inventory that you want to look at. So if you want to look at all a particular type of kiosk or things like that, you can do that. And you see that I actually put top 25 and all the inventory turned gray except for those top 25 that are showing up here. Let me go back to total impressions, top 25. And so at this point, what I'd like to do is start to filter. I want to look at all of them. So back to that main map. So let's look at posters and maybe kiosks for today. And then apply. So you just click what you want and apply, and you can see how it's filtered down for the DMA. And then you can also, as somebody asked earlier, I believe, if you want to just look at clear channels, you can do that, or whoever, you can start to filter. So for the different types of media I've selected, you can see it's now filtered. And we did have a request of like, okay, once I click one, the media types, can this filter down on the operators just to show the ones that do have that inventory? And that is something we are working on as well. But again, if you do have ideas like that, please submit them, and I'll show you how to do that, like I said, in a moment. So I'm not going to pick a piece of, I'm not going to pick an operator for now. But one thing you can do is, like I said, as you zoom in, if you want the, you can see how the map starts to change if I want to filter as I move the map. So you'll see on the upper right side, as I move the map and what's in the visual view of the map, the inventory will start to change as well, the inventory list. So you can, sometimes you may need that if you're scrolling around an area and want to just, know a particular area of what is the inventory. Question on integrating transit. Yes, definitely transit will be a part of the tool very soon. It is on the roadmap for, I believe, I'm just looking at my calendar right now, for I believe early to midsummer as well. But yes, will be part of the tool as well. So no worries there. Okay, so another feature I want to show you, I'm going to click this filter as I move the map off. And so so I'm still at total impressions, looking at everything. Let's say I just want to look at, again, let's go to the top 25 here. All right, and as you start to scroll down, you can see how that star moves around to show you where that piece of inventory you're looking at is located. There's one way out here at Walnut Creek, one near Piedmont, and one, kind of near, outside of, looks like on the way from the airport to downtown. So let's click on this one. Let's click on the map view, show you what you get. So here, obviously, like I clicked on that, and you're seeing your basic data, weekly impressions, it's a posters, this is the location of it, plant ID, which again, this was something, including the plant ID in this card, was something that came out of our initial feedback and input. The Geopath ID, and then different information here. And so when you click on this, look at details, this is what you'll start to see here. So inventory at a glance, so high level kind of, I think of this as kind of like the back of a baseball card, the trading card. So it's all that information. So you're also seeing the opportunity overview. So for those attributes where this piece of inventory over indexes for, so this looks like a good one if you were trying to target Starbucks, people that have been to Starbucks. And also it's good for those that have taken a domestic flight in the last 12 months. You can see it over indexes. So you see these cards give you a good idea of what inventory, what this inventory could also be good for as well. Is there another question, Brian? Or?
Yeah.
Okay. So talking about capabilities to download some of this information, and yes, good question. So let me get to that in 1 second. So some other information here, and you'll see, again, we are in the beta stage, so sometimes you'll see things like coming soon. So what this will show is the top zip codes that piece of inventory is drawing audience from, as well as top markets, so other DMAs that it will be drawn from. And then here, other information in terms of market population impressions, in-market, percentage, and then impressions. And you'll see when I choose a specific audience, you'll start to see TRPs and composition index and those kinds of things, which I'll do in a second. But to just get back to that question, so if you wanted to export this, you can download this as a PDF by clicking right here, like that, and it'll download to your downloads file, and you'll start to see this here. Okay. Let me.
So, more specifically, in terms of mapping and having the inventory on the map, that kind of feature is coming. So having the ability to download the map with your inventory shown on it, that and population mapping and things like that, those are all features that are coming. But if you do want a map of how your inventory lays out across, your market or whatever it is, that's always something you could reach out to us at Geek Out for. So if you do want a map like that, that's something we can definitely do for you.
Right. And Geek Out is our digital helpline. So geekout@geopath.org if you have any questions or need help with login information. All right. So let me go back to, I just want to start to show you some audiences as well. So let me go back to Starbucks as well. And let me just change this up. Let's say I just want to look at a kiosk to clean up the map a little bit. We're looking here. I want to zoom in. So there's a couple of things I want to show you. As you zoom in here, you'll start to see the iconography change as well. So you'll see these chevrons, if you want to call them that. They show directionality, and so this one here on the left area is showing that there's two sides to it, so it's double facing here. And if you ever forget or have questions about, like, hey, what does this mean? There's a feedback button here on the right, and let me talk about this for a little bit. So as you have questions like, what's an impression? You hit search. There's a lot of articles and feedback on that information, so you can click through and give you some definitions as well as some video tutorials that we have on these things. And so there's a host of things here. But let's get back to the original question I had. What do these icons mean? So maps, key symbols, iconography. So what it's telling you here is, so it gives you the sense of the colors, what they stand for, and then what the facings indicate. So again, this one here now we see, oh, okay, that's a two-sided facing. And it may be obvious, but again, sometimes it may not be as obvious, and you want to use this tool. One thing here is that you'll notice if you see a black circle around any of the inventory, that indicates that it's a digital piece of inventory as well. And then just wanted to go back and show you what this means. So I picked Starbucks. Let me make sure I did pick Starbucks and apply it. Let's always make sure you hit apply when you're looking for the inventory. So I'm looking at maybe target impressions, top 25. So I'm seeing this kiosk delivers 58,000 weekly impressions. And I click on it and want to see the back of the card here. So there we go. So now you're starting to see the index. And again, there was a question on how to calculate, how it is calculating the index. And again, I believe it's based on tying it back to the national average.
We actually had two questions come in. They're kind of two parts of a similar question, so I can answer them both. The first question was, what is the data source for the audience data and the behavioral data? And that comes from our partners at Claritas. And the second question that ties right into that is how many audience segments will be available when this is all released? And I believe there's upwards of 10,000 different variable segments.
Yes, yes, that's very exactly correct. So there's going to be thousands upon thousands of variables that we can target, and it is Claritas. And if you're not familiar with Claritas, they also have a segmentation product called Prism, which will be importing the Prism segment into the tool as well. And there's a variety of different demographic and audience variables, from obviously the ones you see here, like from Starbucks, but also across category and across brands. There's just a plethora of variables we'll be looking at. And so in terms of the data here on the back of this card, you're starting to see, so you're looking at, now you can start to see the target impressions delivered, the target population, as well as the percent composition, and the composition index, as well as the TRPs for that particular target. And then reach and frequency. Again, this is a weekly audience summary, so this is weekly data, and sometimes, eventually we foresee the ability to look at 4-week data as well, if you want, but for now it is weekly data. One thing I forgot to mention on the last time I was looking at this card, this I button, it gives you information. If you're ever questioning and wondering what some of the definitions are, or how some of the calculations are made here, you can find it all right here. How to calculate, how is composition index, how is the TRP calculated as well. And as you're going through as well, I want to make sure everybody's aware of the feedback also as well. So one thing, yes, obviously I showed you where you can find information, but if you want to give us information or need help with anything, you can hit the Contact Us button. And there's 3 areas, so you can submit feedback or ideas. So if you have some ideas on some improved functionality or things you'd like to see, you can submit them there. Or if you run into some issues, there's 2 different aspects here. So report product issues on the bottom. So that is if you're having trouble with some of the user interface or the functionality, you can let us know here. And you just put in your name, subject, and just describe what the issue is you're having, and you can send it to us. But then also, if you're exploring and you start to have questions about the audience impressions that you're seeing, again, we are in the beta stages of this, so as you notice things like that, it is super helpful for us to know that as you explore. That said, we will see some potential discrepancies in inventory just because of the level of data that we're bringing in. And if you want to say, why did my impressions change? Here's a nice piece to put together that really talks about what the difference is and what we're doing, and why you might see some fluctuation in your impression data as well. And this is a nice place. This is a nice segue into wanting to show you about the support area that we have. I'm going to click the breadcrumb and go back here. So it's support@geopath.io. Has a lot of information here as well. So you can find out on definitions on out of home. I mentioned there's videos and tutorials. So we have some measurement fundamentals tutorials here, as well as audience fundamentals. So these are about 3 minute plus or minus videos that really give you some basic information on what's an impression, how do you calculate a GRP or TRP, what is reach and frequency. So there's a lot of good information here, and been talking with members who have been using this stuff and have really found it valuable as well. And just one other thing I want to let you know. So you can see here by clicking on the early access program button, kind of what's changing. And we're going to be doing these webinars periodically. So as new improvements come out or new updates to the prototype tool come out, you'll find information here as well. But we'll also be covering them in our webinars as well. And then there's live chat as well. If you have any questions or need any help, you can type in and get some live support in real time as well. I think there's another question, it seems like.
Yes, just this first one. There's a question about when the expanded audience segments will be released. It's coming with all of the additions and improvements to this, and granted, it's still a beta tool for now. Things are being updated bi-weekly, and so from my understanding, it's within the next few weeks,
right,
next month
or
so.
And apologies, I'm not able to say a specific date on that yet. Really, what we're doing, why we released a handful of audience metrics was really to make sure we're pressure testing the system and everything is in working order before we start to expand and release a lot of different audience segments. So that's the reason why. And then there's a question on where do you get the photos for the units. That comes directly from our media members, and we're getting those over time. And as we get them, they are being ported into the system. I believe if you are a media company member, you should have received an email from Michael Riccio or Kevin Romero, who are handling that from our side as well. So that's a quick walkthrough on the tool. I think that shows just about everything I'd like to show today. But again, if there's something I didn't show and you have a question on, please let me know, and we can jump back into the tool. But I want to jump back to the deck really quick and show you one part of it. So as I mentioned, there's obviously some videos that we're creating, but we are creating a comprehensive training and onboarding process for the Insights Suite. So we're very video driven, so you can consume and educate yourself how you like. And if you want to figure out, like I said already, like, oh, how do you calculate reach and frequency? But also tutorials on how to use specific aspects of the tool as well. And then a third portion of tying this all together. So I have my basic fundamentals, I know how to use the tool. How do I tie it all together and create insights for my clients? And again, this will be coming as the tool is built. We'll continually build and support the building of the tool with these. And as I also mentioned here, if you do have questions or need anything as you're in the tool, you can always click the feedback button, but this is where it takes you to the support.geopath.io. Somebody was asking for the presentation. So all this will be available for members. Once we always post our webinars to our YouTube channel, and the most recent ones you can find right on our website on the Geek Out page as well. So you'll be able to get it that way as well. And I'll just pause for a moment to see if there's any other questions. So this question about when downloading the inventory list, we'll be able to download a KML file. I apologize, I don't know that specifically, but I can forward that on to our development team. It might be helpful to know that this potentially is something that people would need to do. So thank you for the question. Apologies, I can't answer it right now. There's a couple more questions coming in. Oh, yeah, question about the seminars. Yeah, so all of these initial 4 seminars that we scheduled, they're all pretty much going to be the same, kind of a high-level walkthrough of the functionality of the tool at this point. The ones that will be coming up in the next month or so, we'll be talking about other aspects of the tool as well. So percent composition. So just a question about how to calculate the percent composition. Let me go back to that. Hopefully I still have that card open. Let me do this. So just quickly to get the percent composition here. So basically dividing the composition index, you divide the in-market impressions, the in-market impressions by the audience, and then the percent composition in going by the columns you would see is basically dividing the target impressions divided by the total impressions. I think we got everything. Hopefully we've answered all your questions. Thank you for the questions. This is super helpful when we get the questions, so we really appreciate that. And just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining today. And let me do one last thing before I sign off here. Say there's 2 more sessions, but as I said, this is more to let everybody know. This is more to let everybody know that there are more sessions, but as I said earlier, these are going to be similar to today. So if there's members of your team that haven't been able to join and want to join live, they can join one of these. We also are going to post this session to our YouTube channel as well. And again, as Brian said earlier, if you do have requests or questions or need help with anything, you can always reach out to us at geekout@geopath.org. So if you had a question we didn't get the answer, or you didn't get to type in, you can reach out to us here. So again, just want to say thank you to everybody. Really appreciate everybody joining today, and thank you again for all the questions. And just want to say have a great day.